today. For an instant, I felt that I saw you as someone who was rather hard-edged and cynical a little bit, and what I was actually seeing was myself. As you looked at me, it was like you showed me who I am, what I represent sitting here. And I'd like to apologize for bringing that to you. I believe I understand now why I should be prepared to be in your company, because you've become my state. And what I saw briefly couldn't have been very nice for you. But the second time you looked at me, it seems like that hard edge was gone a little bit, and I could bring you a little more of what I would like to bring you, which is love and tenderness and vulnerability. And I felt like in that moment something was purified. And hopefully I'll be able to see that in myself better now.
What about it?
I hope I don't see that in you again, reflected.
That's what there is to deal with. Don't you think? The practice is to live a discipline in which all the limitations are really overcome, really transcended. It's not really a matter of idealizing your life or assuming some sort of an attitude, you see. It is necessary to do sadhana. Necessary. Not merely for the sake of achieving some sort of a pleasant psychophysical condition in the moment, you see. But for the sake of transcending limitation itself. Even when you're in a relatively good mood, not cynical and so forth. Is that good?
I feel more comfortable with that. I like to think of myself as
What has comfort got to do with it? What has person got to do with it? Do you think you as an individual, separate entity are here to be perfect somehow and feel perfectly good? Do you look forward to that as the achievement of your sadhana?
I look forward to being able to represent myself, to be love, instead of this hard-edged.
But is love a person? Separate? A body-mind? And why do you want to be that anyway? What do you mean when you say you want to be that?
I think it means I want freedom, some kind of freedom.
Some kind of freedom.
I feel a restriction on my capacity to be in relationship to you and to everything here.
And what is that?
What is that restriction? It's self-imposed, something I'm doing. I understand that from the teaching. It's something I'm always doing. I'm creating this.
And what would there be if that were not there? Would you still be sitting in that chair telling me this?
I think it would be a problem.
But what would be the condition?
Just radiance, being. Not having a dilemma with anything else.
Would there be anything else? Can there be anything else? Love itself. In that case, can there be anything else? So what you're talking about is enlightenment then, not merely a change of your mood. God realization. Until there is enlightenment or God realization, you can expect to see a lot of the kind of thing you were talking about earlier. That's why that sort of thing appears, you see? Because of the absence of enlightenment or God realization. What about God? Do you have some doubts about God? Are you cynical about God?
Perhaps I'm cynical about my ability to realize God in this process.
And what do you mean cynical about it?
Doubts that it's possible.
What would make it not possible?
Being a hard case.
Yeah, you're talking about not likely. God realization is perfectly possible. But what will you do about it? You've got to commit yourself to the difficult process. You've got to change your life. Everything about your life. You can't expect God realization or enlightenment on the basis of no fundamental change of existence, you see. You can't adapt God to your present habit or to your egoic disposition. You've got to devote your life to God realization. You don't have to go into hiding to do this. But you must bring profound discipline to your life. And you have to stop being tolerant of yourself in your apparent cynicism or doubt about yourself, all that sort of stuff, you see. That's just a way of letting yourself off the hook. All there is a mechanism to be dealt with. You're not uniquely born. It's the same mechanism as in all other cases. And in all cases it requires a tremendous ordeal. And you must enter into that ordeal and use your life for its sake. For its sake, you see. Are you willing to do that?
I hope so.
You hope so. Only you can answer for it. You expect to find out something different from yourself tomorrow? If you're going to consult your mind and your body about it, you're not going to get congratulated for this choice. You must master the body-mind. Allow it to be mastered, ultimately. So this choice is not a matter of consulting the body-mind. It is a matter of direct response to grace, to revelation, which you can find. Then adapt the body-mind to it. The body-mind is resistive and has all its patterns and so forth, which are your own fault. And if you don't operate in such a way that these things are released, then you will only accumulate more. There's no two ways about it. Perhaps God realization absolute may not be the case in this lifetime, but you can get a lot worse. That's for certain. If you don't enter into the sadhana, you accumulate more. You delude yourself further. You bind yourself further. You commit yourself to lifetimes of delusion and struggle and effort and disappointment and cynicism and all the rest of it, you see. Not to mention all the disembodied weirdness after death. You can waste your life imagining that maybe when you're dead, you see. But you have to take that business into account. Why send yourself into that kind of a hell, you see? You are under obligation to the divine. Living in this ordinary world these days, you can imagine there is no such thing as God, and there is no real process necessary and so forth, and you can devote yourself to the life of self-fulfillment. This would be a great error with grave consequences. So at the very least, you must commit your life to God realization and function on that basis. And release as much of this as possible until it is perfectly transcended, whenever. It's a waste of time then to be doubting yourself or being cynical about yourself, a total waste of time. It's a way of deluding yourself, conning yourself, giving yourself the excuse to accumulate more. It's a way of deceiving yourself. And you're right, come into my company, people see visions, experience all kinds of things, you see. And things such as you described, they see themselves reflected in the energy of this manifestation, this sign, this revelation. You find yourself. Unless the heart is open without limit, the limit is reflected back. Whatever is reflected to you should be taken as a lesson, accepted as a grace, as revelation itself. This thing you notice, doesn't it fall into one another of the 7 categories I've described? The 7 forms of grace, 7 gifts. See? So all these 7 kinds of revelation come at every stage. So that's one of them, you see. And what will you do about it? You must use it for sadhana. You must become serious. You have to overcome this popular trend toward recreational spirituality, recreational religion. Superficial involvement in it all. Religious consumerism. The karmas must actually be transcended. You must become a renunciant. Anything else about that? Sure.